it'd be really tough for America not to win this. I'm trying to figure out. There would have to be some sort of ego alpha dog weirdness on the team, I think, for them not to.
Is it
take
Ant?
care of business.
How about that?
Well, that's the thing. Ant says that thing today about they know I'm the number one option. I was like, okay, here we go. This could get interesting because I guarantee Embiid thinks he should probably get the ball at the end of games. LeBron is wired to have the ball in his hands in big situations. And then I think it's gonna be a hard team to coach. You have all these you have older players, you have players in their primes, you have players on the way up trying to prove something. And they didn't do the thing this year when they put the two at the end of the bench who clearly aren't playing. Like all of these, like Halliburton's probably the 12th man on this team now. Halliburton was in the Eastern Conference Finals, So I think it's going to be a hard one. Then you have the Kawhi piece of it. There's not a ton of defense once you get past the Tatum, Edwards, Drew, Bam, Davis, Kawhi. If you want to have the defensive lineup. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. Why are you smiling, Russillo?
Well, because you said I'm worried about the defense. Then you just went through the guys.
Well, I went through six guys, but six guys that probably aren't. Half of those guys aren't playing at the end of games. Like Bam's not going to play crunch time.
Kawhi, I don't know at this point what he will be able to consistently give you. Maybe he'll be terrific. I don't know. But if there was one guy. I'd imagine they're just going to defer to the older guys. Has it always been, is this the best example of like an absolute changing of the guard roster?
Well, they had it in 92. I guess like maybe 08 would be the other example. But even then, like Kobe was in his prime. Yeah, this is, I guess because the guys are so much older now.
Yeah.
Where you have LeBron is almost 40 and Durant. You have guys from drafts that happened 20 years ago and 17 years ago. Here's my starting lineup. Tell me if you guys agree with this. Edwards and Curry is the backcourt. Embiid is the center. And I think Durant starts because he has that long Olympics thing. And then the next question for me is it Tatum or is it LeBron starting? And I can't imagine LeBron not starting.
LeBron's going to start.
Tatum's not going to start. He just won the title. He's in his prime, and he's like the perfect international player. But I don't think he starts. I think Durant and LeBron start over him. So it's Embiid, Durant, LeBron, Edwards, Curry. Or does Kawhi get the Edwards spot? And they go Embiid, Durant, LeBron, Kawhi, Curry. And they don't have a two guard. What do you think, Ceruti?
If I'm the Clippers and Kawhi starts for USA basketball, like I'm going to be pretty bummed out.
You're
about
infuriated.
That. That's not awesome. You lose Paul George and then watch Kawhi have an awesome Olympics and then gets hurt again next year. That's not what you want to see. So I don't know. I wouldn't start Kawhi unless he's just unbelievable in camp and we don't know. But yeah, I think Curry, Edwards. There's no way LeBron is the first guy on the team and the five. There's no way he's not.
LeBron starting. Has to start. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's not an anti-Tatum thing, but
yeah. That's
LeBron's going to start, first of all.
LeBron's going to start, and I think Durant's going to start. That's going to happen, right?
You know what I loved about the pictures? When we first saw the Durant picture next to Bosch, and you're like, wait a minute. Somebody's height is a lie, because Durant was that much taller than Bosch. We saw him lined up. Did you see the picture of Tatum next to Bam? Tatum's huge.
So I'm glad you noticed this because I noticed this in person. I think Tatum's 6'10" now.
I do too.
I noticed this at the finals going to the games, watching him stand next to different people. And I'm like, it feels like he was closer to 6'11" than 6'9". Like he might be like,
is he still growing? You think? He's huge. I'm kidding about the is he still growing thing. But whenever these guys are lined up next to each other, I'll look for it. Like who, because you think of Bam positionally. It's not like Bam's listed height is wrong. Because there's a picture of Gobert and Wemby the other day.
Yeah.
Where Wemby's a full head taller than Gobert.
Somebody's lying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's because Wemby is the first player I've ever heard prior to the draft that the agents actually were hoping to figure out a way to lie about his height going the other way. Like nobody's ever wanted to be shorter ever in the history of the lead up of the NBA draft. But there are people like he's actually like 7'5", but they want him to be like 7'3". And then when he's next to Gobert,
two guys that lied. Kareem lied and Bill Walton lied. Kareem was like 7'4.5", and I think he used to say he was 7'2", and Walton was absolutely at least 7'2".
Wasn't Porzingis in that category too? I feel like Porzingis, it was like kind of getting weird there at the top. 7'3".
7'3"?
Yeah, he's a legit. He might even be like a whiff taller than 7'3".
You're giving him 7'3.5", are you?
Yeah, I would. But Tatum, there's no way Tatum's not 6'10". And I always thought
agree.
Durant was the other one. I feel like Durant might be like
I think Durant's like
7'1.5".
Yeah.
Yeah.
7
Like
7/8.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a 7 3/8, something like that. But he's
No, that
definitely
sounds
7
better.
feet or over.
I
I don't
will say
think he's 7'1".
Bam's listed at 6'9". So as a center, you
But
said you think that's
I
correct.
think Bam's like 6'8".
Yeah, there's a good chance he's probably not.
See,
6'5".
I didn't look at the Tatum Bam part and go Bam's lying. I just thought, I can't believe how big Tatum looks next to him and that he's at least 6'10", at least. And it also, when I saw him going up against Gafford at the post, and it's not like Gafford is listed at like 6'11". Is Gafford listed at 6'10"? That was the beauty of like Tatum. And I'm just going to forever be pissed off about Jaylen Brown getting both conference finals MVP and NBA finals MVP, because it's not something that I'm upset that Jaylen Brown has. Just seeing what Steph had to deal with and all the bullshit post 2015 until he finally got here 7 years later, when in fact, like Curry was the guy that was making all of this stuff happen. For Tatum to be playing point guard for as much as he was, and then also defending centers throughout the playoffs, and like he was the most important player, even with the bad shooting stretches that he had in the finals. But the first impression with the finals part of it was just going to be such in favor of Jaylen, which is fine. But watching him physically and then seeing that picture, you're like, are we talking about like a 6'10" guy that's playing point guard in the NBA finals that's defending centers? Is Tatum underrated, Bill?
Well, this is what we talked about
Another
during
level.
the playoffs, is whether there was another
level.
another stop for him. I always feel like it's the physicality that's the next piece for him.
And
Being
not
able to
taking
punish
step back
smaller
threes.
guys.
Yeah.
And that 8 to 12 range would
I will
be
say really quickly,
ideal
if you're putting together the five that like just on paper you think works the best together, I think you can make an argument Tatum over KD is actually the right basketball move, right?
All right, so let's do this as an exercise. Your five guys. If it was just like who are the best five guys we have to close games with that you would trust the most? Because to me, Tatum has to be over Durant because of his two-way ability at this point, and the fact that he's younger. I just think he has to be, and he beat Durant in a playoff series 2 years ago. I just think he's a better player at this point. I would go Embiid.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
End of games?
Well, depending on if it was a team that it was just clearly it would be easy buckets for him.
Uruguay?
Right?
Yeah, he's probably not going to pass.
But if we're going for best possible team that could play defense and resemble a finals team, then AD has to be the center, right?
So you just changed it?
Tatum at 5.
I'd go small.
You'd go small.
Yeah, I wouldn't play a center. I wouldn't play any of those guys.
So would you go Tatum, Durant, LeBron, Edwards, Curry, or Tatum, Durant, Booker, Edwards, Curry, or Tatum, Durant, Drew, Edwards, Curry?
Drew's not going to make this closing five in any
They're going to need him in these Olympics, though, because
I understand. But
there's going to be a team where there's going to be some fucking little guy going nuts, and Drew's going to be the guy who's going to have to guard him.
You're going to, like, Ceruti, I kind of agree, like, it would be really fun to just watch 5 ball handlers out there and see what happens. But there's also going to be a matchup in international play where there's just going to be horrified of Embiid. They're not going to be able to do anything with him.
That's why I think it's Embiid or AD. I like that Tatum's like the perfect, like, small ball stretch international 5.
Has your mood entirely changed as we've just theorized on what Tatum might be? You have a pep. You're closing strong.
Well, I'm glad
you're closing.
I'm glad that you noticed that he grew. I do think Embiid as this crazy weapon. We haven't had this since Shaq in like 1996. Like certain teams where it's just like Embiid's just way bigger than everyone on your team. He's just going to score every time now for the next like 5 plays. Will be fun to watch.
Right. I mean, you're sitting there going like, oh, I don't know if Mitchell Robinson can do it on his own. I'm worried about the Celtics front line depth. Horford getting a little bit early. I'm worried about Belgium. Although I don't know off the top of my head with my luck, it'll be like, actually, Belgium has this really awesome, huge guy.
Yeah,
it might not even be in the Olympics. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird team. I wish they had like one more role guy, but in general,